4 tips you're going to use to pass your exams. Now, if you have any exams you want to write, use these tips of mine and you're guaranteed to pass your exams. The first tip I have for you is the God factor. You don't have to underestimate the God factor. So try to pray to God, try to sow seed, try to praise God for your exam success, and try to put God factor the most important because we cannot do anything without God. Do you understand? Now, the second factor I have for you is make sure you study. You want to pass your exam, you say study to show yourself approved. Do you understand? So try to study. And when I say study, I mean study everything. So if you should be able to have your course outline as a student or your scheme of work. Make sure you cover everything in your scheme of work. Don't underrate any topic. Even when your lecturer gives you area of concentration, please still study the entire work. Do not overlook or underrate any part of what you are meant to study. Study everything. Do you understand? And when you're studying, make sure you have a jotter where you're going to be putting down questions. So, for example, you study what is a noun, you study examples of noun, you have a different book where you're writing number one, what is a noun, like you're forming questions for yourself. As you study, make sure you form questions for yourself. Now, the third tip I have for you is to revise what you've studied. Make sure you try to revise over and over and over and over again. You saw how I emphasize on over and over and over and over again because you just cannot stop revising. Do you get? Now, after revising, the next tip I have for you is to rest your brain. You have this exam to write, you've studied, you've put the God factor, you've revised and you've revised. You understand? And also, you've done group reading because I forgot to add that that's a bonus tip. Group reading also helps. Do you understand? You're done with that. So this is the time for the exam. Try to revise, try to relax your brain. Few minutes to the exam, you shouldn't be reading. But if you want to be reading, that is fine. But at that stage, what you should be reading is not trying to like cram. You should just be like trying to be revising what you've read. But I would advise you more like relax your brain so that your brain is going to like relax. Do you understand? So you get into the exam hall. Now, the last tip I have for you when you get to the exam hall is a little trick that I use to like help me write exams and pass. That is trying not to confuse my brain. So the thing there is that when you get to the question exam room and you see question papers, when you look at the questions, you might end up having this tension that I don't know this, I did not read this and that, and then you just lose your self confidence. That is what you don't want to do when you get to the exam hall. So what should you do? The trick that I use is when I get the question paper, I don't look at everything at the same time because for us in my department, they ask us to make sure we attempt all questions. So if you're given 4 questions, you must attempt the 4 questions. So what I do is I just start from number 1A and I look at the question. After looking at the question, I answer it and then I push in my paper to see the question 1B. Like I use my answer sheet to like be covering the other questions I'm not yet to answer. So I only open what I want to answer. So I start from question 1A, look at the question, read it, understand it, and then I answer it. Then I push the paper downwards to question 1B. That is how I do it till I get to the last question. But in the typical university or for the normal, for others, they don't do this for us. They will tell you these are 7 questions, pick 4 questions and attempt them. So what I'm going to advise you to do is do an overview of the whole question. Do you understand me? So look at the whole question from number 1 to number 7 and make sure you're not trying to like think about the answer. Just look at the question. When you see a question, you should be able to know if you can answer that or not because you have read already. So they will say things that you have read, and they might say things that you have not read. So you're able to know the ones you can answer and the ones you cannot answer well. Just look at do an overview and then look at those questions. So the ones you can answer, just take them good. So once you've finished taking the 4 questions you want to attempt good, then you can now use the same trick that I showed you. So if you take question 1, question 3, question 4, and question 6, you first of all open question 1, then look at the question 1A, then question 1B before you get to the question 3, and that's how you keep going. So why am I doing this, or why am I advising you to do this? I'm advising you to do this because when you start looking at the whole question, you will distort your brain because you will want to be reasoning the answers and stuff like that, and you can end up forgetting what you have actually read. So I want to know how what you think about this, my advice, and if you there are tips you use to make yourself pass your exams, please share them in the comment section so that we all will benefit from that. Thank you so much. Please don't forget to like this video, drop a comment. I beg you, please share this video and make me motivated to continue dropping content like this.